The Toronto Maple Leafs and Florida Panthers are going to play Game 7 on Sunday back in Toronto. Yes, the Florida Panthers have lost on home ice to the Toronto Maple Leafs 2-0, and they're going back to Toronto now in Game 7. The Toronto Maple Leafs made them pack. It's a video that I honestly didn't think I was going to be recording tonight. 0-0 after two periods. I honestly thought the Leafs were the better team. I really thought that they were sound defensively. They were having more offensive chances. Honestly, in the second period, they had like 5 minutes there where Florida had maybe like a little bit more of offensive zone. They got a couple more shots on, but they weren't high danger shots. So it wasn't like I was like thinking that they were going to be scored on at that point. But honestly, the Maple Leafs showed up, and you cannot argue with this game. I said it was going to be a legacy game. It was, and it indeed was for Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner. Auston Matthews scores his first goal of the series, his first goal in 11 games versus first goal in 11 games versus the Florida Panthers. It's incredible to see that he got his first goal of the series. He showed up when it was needed. And who was the primary assist? None other than Mitch Marner. Everyone was saying 34 and 16 weren't going to show up. They proved everyone wrong tonight, and they did so in Sunrise, taking down the Florida Panthers. Let's jump more into the game here. I'm going to pull up the box score. It was a wild game, though. Like, it was very tight. For anyone that thought the Leafs weren't going to come out here and really have the same type of performance they did in Game 5, I don't know what you were thinking. They were obviously going to show up. They obviously care. They're professional athletes. That's what they do. They're not just going to, turn over, roll over, and say, that's it, pack her in. Mitch Marner, go away. Brendan Shanahan, okay, you're fired. Auston Matthews, who knows? Trade rumors could start now. Matthew Nyes, you're the new face of the franchise, buddy. No, instead, you get a performance at the very least that was going to be a valid effort in a losing effort if that was the case. But instead, they get the goal that sealed the deal early in the third period. As you can see, Auston Matthews, his third of the playoffs. Like I said, first of the second round from Mitch Marner. Listen, Auston Matthews has not looked good this whole second round. He has simply not. But tonight was a legacy game for Auston Matthews. To score that kind of goal in this kind of game when we know that you're injured, that proves that he is on a different level for me. Like, to me right now, he was disappointing. But now, if we go look at his series, everyone's going to say Game 6, game winner. That's all that they're going to say. Even if he doesn't have the best Game 7, you can still hold your hat on. He came up in the clutch moments of Game 6 with the game winner. And you know what? Some Leafs fans are going to say, Game 7, you're not going to have me believe again. This is the ultimate pain. You set me up to believe once again that you guys are going to get it done and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, this is the farthest they've ever made it with this group of players. You got to remember that. Like, it's a small victory in and of itself to make it this far. Like, it's not easy to win the Stanley Cup. If it was easy, a lot of teams would be able to do it year after year. Like, it's the hardest trophy to win in sports. Everyone knows that. Like, it's not going to be easy for the Maple Leafs to go into Game 7 and get the victory. No chance. But they do have Joseph Wall, who just recorded his first ever shutout in the playoffs, and he's the only other goalie than Curtis Joseph to record a shutout in facing an elimination game. Now, I do have to mention Max Pacioretty comes up big once again. Listen, this guy scores big goals after big goals. We've seen it with the Montreal Canadiens. Yes, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, but I have to say, like, I appreciate what Max Pacioretty is now with the Toronto Maple Leafs and what he's able to do. We saw him score the game-winning goal or series-winning goal against the Ottawa Senators in Game 6 there. In Game 6 here, he adds the insurance marker for a 2-0 victory. Listen, Bobby McMahon, he needed to get going. He gets an assist there. Max Domi gets an assist. It's really good to see the bottom six produce as well. Craig Berube did say he wanted to see them get going, so it's really good that they got going. But yeah, let's just go in. Simone Benoit played 20 minutes. The minutes weren't like as what you would expect in an elimination game. I really thought that going into this, they were going to ride Matthews and Marner all the way. Like they were going to double shift them a lot. If you're going out tonight, it was kind of like this. These are the two guys you're going out with. As you can see here, 13:01 for Matthew Nyes. He was dealing with a injury all night long after receiving one in the first period, kind of sat on the bench, even had to be taken off the first power play unit, assuming because he didn't want to be in front of the net, which would lead to me believing it might be a back issue, not wanting to get cross-checked there. But who knows? As you can see, Lorenz Lawton physical on the body, and as usual, the shot blockers. Chris Tanev with 6 blocks tonight. Like he just eats shots. He just eats them for days. But yeah, the big boys showed up. Like this was what we said. It was going to be a legacy game, win or lose for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they showed up. And they got the legacy game in the winning side. Like Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner now kind of can breathe in game 7, relax, and play their game. They don't have to worry about everything else around them. All the noise that you didn't get it done in game 6. You didn't, even if they win and they didn't show up tonight, there's still noise around them going into game 7. Like they haven't shown up. They haven't done anything. They proved everyone wrong. They proved every single one wrong. They honestly might deserve an apology if they win this series from all the slander that they've gotten over everyone on Toronto social media or all their fans, no one believing in them, and also Toronto media just they're gonna be critical of them, but at the same time you might have to apologize to them because in the biggest game they did show up, and they showed up right from the jump in the first period. They had multiple chances in the first period. The first one was actually Mitch Marner on a nice pass to Matthew Nyes in the slot. He tries to beat Sergei Bobrovsky, just doesn't beat him around the toe. That's unfortunate. But right off the jump, you could see that top line was going tonight. Like just absolutely buzzing around the ice. So yeah, it's a big legacy game for them, and we'll see where it goes in terms of game 7. And yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. The two best words in sports, game 7. So I can't think of a better way to end this series. Every single series that the Toronto Maple Leafs have played against Brad Marchand, it has gone to game 7. It was bound to go to game 7, right? Like, and maybe honestly, I do have like one question here. Oh, wow. David Leo joins me 8 minutes in. Wow, this is crazy. Okay, well, I have one question. Brad Marchand says in his pregame interview today, he says that the Maple Leafs, I guess, like it wasn't as far of a game or wide of a game as what some people might have thought it was. And it was a lot closer. Everyone took that as he was just making up bull crap. Like
No, that is Brad Marchand.
You think
doing,
I really don't think it was.
No.
I don't
Listen,
think it
as
was.
somebody who has grown up in Brad Marchand's shadow, playing with the Boston Bruins, that is Brad Marchand playing his mind game antics to a T. There is nobody in the NHL that does a better job of stuff like that than him. He's been doing it all series, and he brought his A1 plus game this year as well. Sorry for jumping on so late, buddy.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm glad that you jumped on. So I briefly recapped like you can't now at this point. You cannot go after Mitch and Auston after tonight. They showed up. Like they were buzzing from the opening minute, and they were on top of it. And Auston Matthews gets the game-winning goal, only assist by Mitch Marner. Listen, if they have a bad performance in Game 7, you can go and rip them. But if they have a mediocre performance, you can still say, look, they showed up in Game 6. Like, they did score the game-winning goal in Game 6, and they really did show up. I really don't think that there's any argument there.
That is fair. I wouldn't go so far to say that this performance alone absolves 9 seasons of criticism against them.
Yeah.
Winning Game 7, though, heading into Game 7 and with them putting up a similar type of performance, however, I think goes a long way. I don't know if it fully absolves everything. It would be the furthest that the two of them have ever gone in the Stanley Cup playoffs, 100%. Yeah. But I don't know if it fully absolves them of everything. But the job is not done. Like, this was half of what they needed to do, right?
Yeah.
And let's give them full credit. The half today was at 110%.
Yeah.
One of two, it's done. But this is 50%. In post-secondary, dude, 50% doesn't get you a passing grade. We need 100% here if they want to continue. Unfortunately, I think that is just the way that it's going to go.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, if they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Final, this is going to be looked at as a disappointment, and everyone's going to be upset. But at the same time, you have to take it in a vacuum because this is the furthest that they've made it with this group of guys. The furthest they made it before was to 2023 in 5 games, and that wasn't even like a 5. That was more of a sweep, to be honest. It wasn't even.
It was close. A gentleman's sweep for sure.
It was, yeah, but they could have been swept as well in that series. Like, it could have easily been over in 4 games. And you know what? Tonight, a major reason why it wasn't over in 6 games was Joseph Woll. Like, 22 saves. I know this shot total is not that high, but honestly, he was solid all night long. Like, he was unfazed by everything that Florida was trying to do in front of the net, all the scrums afterwards. Even at the end of the game, Matthew Tkachuk tried to get in his face, and he was having none of it. What do you think of him?
Well, listen, for as much criticism leveled at the feet of both Mitch Marner and Auston Matthews, and also a lot of players on the team, like, you could have counted on 2 hands the amount of criticism, like the amount of that the team should have faced after, and they did face rightfully after Game 5. I think Woll was 100% in that conversation in terms of criticism, and they showed on the broadcast today. They showed him on the bench after being pulled in favor of Matt Murray, and he's talking to himself, and he's like, all right, like that to me is Joseph Woll in a nutshell. Like, he isn't the types of goalies that the Leafs have had in the past. I think back to the likes of Ilya Samsonov and Jack Campbell especially, who were probably 2 of the biggest mental goalies that the Leafs have had. Like, in terms of if their head is not in the game, you are going to get sub 850 goaltending from them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
For Woll, that had to have been that had to be like the most refreshing game for him. Like, I don't know. He looked as locked in as I've ever seen Joseph Woll look. And
he looked like Bob. He looked like Bob, like, in terms of like his mental, like, game, like, just like
100%.
Not getting distracted by anything. He looked like Bob out there. Like, I wouldn't
even compare him to other goalies, but what I would compare him to is he looked as, like, ice cold locked in. Think of Kobe Bryant being locked in, right? You know the stare that Kobe gives when he's locked in. That was Joseph Woll tonight.
Yeah, so like I said earlier before you hopped on, he is the second goalie to have, in Maple Leafs history, to have a shutout facing elimination. He joins Curtis Joseph. And listen, like, even if Stolarz is good to go in Game 7, I don't start Stolarz at this point. I go with Wall.
I
Uh,
think so. I think that's
he,
I think that's fair. I think
yeah,
he's at
you
least
have to.
earned. I think he's at least earned the. He's earned the spot, and I don't think Joseph Wall has been the absolute crux like to the three losses in this series.
No.
Has he been 110% like Stolarz was heading into the series? I would argue probably not. Has he been as like cool, calm, and collected before tonight? Maybe not, barring maybe one game or so. But this is Joseph Wall's crease right now, and if they want to advance further, we'll have the discussion of who goes in after.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly I'm so thankful that we're at least gonna get one more season of this tandem together.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, true. They're all both
like
locked in next year.
I don't want to
Uh,
look to the future that much because we're still in the present. Like the series isn't done just yet,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it is something for Leaf fans just to remember that should things go sideways this year, they will at least have their two in Vesna like conversation.
you can't say Vesna. Like
No,
they're on the
Solar's
they're
having
on the
played maybe
upper
some more.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they're
on the
on
upper echelon of starter goalies. They're not Vesna
100%.
level, but they're in the middle. They're
I
not
would say they're
starter, but they're above starter goalie. Like
just
I'd put
under
them in that
that.
category. Yeah.
That's fair, 100%.
When you put them together, though, it makes one of the best goaltending tandems in the league because when you have both above average starting goalies in the league, yes, you have one of the best goaltending tandems in the league. So Auston Matthews doesn't score a goal this whole series until tonight. He plays 18-14, as you can see here on the screen, has one hit, has one block, has two or four shots on net. Took 45 shots to get his first or third goal of the playoffs. Listen, we know he's injured or not, like he's battling something. We definitely know that. What did you think of his game?
um, that has to be. I don't think I've seen a captain. The last time we saw a captain perform quite like that was probably Tavares game 6 against the Tampa Bay Lightning, where he scored that overtime winner. Who, let's also not forget, that same game, Auston Matthews scored against Tampa as well. But JT, I distinctly remember that night being the driving force for most of the game. And that is exactly what the Leafs needed from their captain. That's the leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
We coming into this game, I think everybody could kind of figure it wasn't going to be a 5-4 barn burner like it was earlier in this series. I would also assume most people wouldn't have thought it was going to be as one-sided as Game 5 was
Yeah.
on either end. Let's say.
Yeah,
This
I before you
maybe
came on, I literally said if you thought it was gonna be the Leafs roll over here and just give up and just get walked all over, like you obviously didn't know what was gonna happen, and it was either gonna be a close loss or a close win. Like it was
the
either gonna be
Leafs
one of the two.
the Leafs have done this before. Last year against Boston, that they went down 3-1 and played back to back just absolutely flawless defensive
Yeah,
games and were aided with one goal, two goals, a couple goals. William
yeah,
Nylander in particular during that stretch, that was where the playoff Willie numbers started to come into play.
yeah.
But
You
for Matthews, dude, that his celebration, I would have thought maybe a little bit more. It seemed a little bit more muted. That's your first goal on 50 shots like against this team. First goal in 11 games, 11 playoff games in the second round. First goal in the second round in general for Auston. I would have
yeah,
thought maybe like the monkey off the back celebration, something
yeah,
like that. But you know what? That is not Auston Matthews. But to see him almost breathe like a sigh of relief gave me a little bit of pause. Justin, I will tell you one thing. heading into today, I was not believing. Actually, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I believed in a win tonight. I kind of figured that the Leafs weren't going to roll over and it was going to be a tight game. And I thought the Leafs could probably get the edge ahead. Okay? A lot of people were down on them. There was a lot of people still very, very, very optimistic. And I saw so many people today. I hope those people go to bed and have a great night tonight because they deserve it. But everything that we can have a conversation about hinges on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I agree. Like, so with Auston Matthews, the stat was rolling around today from Sportsnet Stats. Of 110 players in NHL history with 400 career regular season goals, Auston Matthews is the only one with zero career goals in the past, or 0 goals past the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. He changed that tonight. He got his first goal in the second round of the playoffs. Listen, I said it before you came on. I'll say it again. He was so disappointing in this series up until tonight. Like, at this point, I don't care what the injury is. He was disappointing. I know it's not a wrist injury because you're out there taking faceoffs and you're winning 60% of them. You're not injured on the wrist. I can guarantee you that, because if so, you're not taking draws. You're not taking the draws.
Do you think maybe?
I think it's
do you
back.
think maybe it's do you think it's not a combination of both?
No, I think it's back. I think it's back.
I think we've heard
that speculation. Like
it is speculation to a point, because we've heard from multiple sources that was one of the many ailments for him.
It's just the wrist thing. It just doesn't add up if you're winning. If you're like, let alone taking draws and then winning them. Like,
especially at a high rate, like he is.
Yes, like that to
That's
me
fair.
wouldn't make any sense at all if he's actually injured with a wrist injury. That just to me makes no sense. And listen, the shot, I don't know what it is. It hasn't looked as good, but tonight, he looked more active. He looked like he was ready to go. I don't know if they gave him like something before the game to try something new or something. But he was ready to go. And like, I wouldn't say his shot was vintage Auston Matthews. It was I would not.
Say that is one of the weaker.
Yeah, that was
Matthews
like
goals.
I heard on the broadcast they said like that's a good Auston Matthews shot. Like, I thought it was honestly kind of weak. Like, I honestly didn't think it was like superb or anything special in any mean. So yeah.
Do you happen to have the shot speed by any chance? Like what was the max
on his shot?
On
I can go look. Yeah, I can go look that up, because he's like, when you watch that release, like, it just didn't seem, to me, it just didn't seem that, I guess is the correct word would be powerful behind it. Like, it didn't feel like there was a lot of power behind it. It just went 5-hole. It just beat him It just beat Bobrovsky 5-hole.
For Bob, who has been lights out since game 3 of this series.
Yeah,
that was one that he would definitely want to have back 110%. That wasn't a great goal against. Can I give you just a quick Joseph Woll stat for you?
Yeah.
So this is per Sportsnet Stats. So Joseph Woll, in his NHL career, when facing elimination, he's played 5 games with a record of 4-1, a 1.13 goals against average, a save percentage at .958. Facing at least 28, the average is 28.2 shots a game, shots against the game, and that was his first ever career playoff shutout. Yeah. I mean, that's as good of a performance as you want from Joseph Woll.
Yeah, like you said, like everyone said he had to be dialed in to win tonight's game. If he wasn't, they weren't going to win, even if they had scoring. I agreed with that, and he was up to the task. Shout out to Money Puck here, because they are a great website. Anyway, Leafs, they have a deserve to win meter. 58.3% was to 41.8% was the deserve to win if you simulated the game 1,000 times. Leafs scoring chances, as you can see, they had a lot more in they had a lot more in danger or close danger chances, in my opinion, close to the crease ones as well, compared to the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers were kind of all over the ice from their scoring. Like they were from, it felt like Joseph Wall was seeing a lot of his shots that they were throwing at him, so that was kind of interesting. Uh, right here, I don't know if I can get the exact speed of his shot on that one.
I mean, you don't have to. If I'm going to be honest, we can
But
find
so
that at a different
here's
time, but it didn't look like that laser,
yeah. So
and it
here,
hasn't
but
looked like that. I would say all
yes, it
year,
hasn't looked like
honestly.
that at all in the playoffs. Again, 10 faceoffs won tonight, 8 lost. So still, and then 26 shifts tonight, 27 for Marner. That was probably the extra shift he played while Auston Matthews sat in the box. Yeah, like they 7 shot attempts for Matthews tonight, 0 for Marner, but Marner was not really shooting the puck a lot, like, or wasn't even looking to shoot. I felt like he was just trying to play his game of being the playmaker tonight, and that's what he did.
Sure. So what I would say about that though is, um, in another world where the Leafs don't get that goal to fall in for them, a
Yeah,
lot of people are going to look at that stat alone because it's not the first time this playoffs that he has had 0 shot attempts. That does have to change.
yeah, I agree. He has to be more active in Game 7. Joseph Wall, 2.3 or 2.43 goals were expected tonight. 0 were let in. So great night for him. Yeah, like overall, great performance from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now I have 2 questions before we wrap this up.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so what was the most impressive thing about this win tonight for you?
The most impressive thing about this win, um, I would just say honestly, just how gutsy this game was, right? Because at
Hmm.
multiple points in this game, the Leafs had sustained a lot of the Panthers forecheck, right? There was multiple moments. I want to say it was midway to late in the second
Yeah,
period
yeah, yeah.
where
I said that.
they
Yeah,
they had a 2 minute fire drill. It felt like they just
yeah.
couldn't get they were second to every loose puck.
Yeah.
They couldn't clear the zone, and
I think it started with a
stopping.
Chris Tanev turnover, to be honest. I think
Yeah,
that
well,
one
it
did.
was shortly after Simone Benoit laid out Brad Marchand, and
Yeah.
then the Panthers immediately responded with like Luostarinen and Lundell. I think both going after guys that were on the ice. I think it might have been Benoit and somebody else. I can't remember exactly, but they get in on that forecheck and they don't give the puck up.
Yeah.
I want to go back to see like how many shot attempts and like how many shots went on net in that sequence alone and how many blocks that they had. But in general, they had to weather a few fire drills of that sort.
Yeah.
Um, that to me screams a team that was just so committed to locking it down, and then when the chances come on offense, they can go up and take it. And that's exactly what they did. And it's what they've done in the past. And I'm very surprised, like, when it comes to games as big as this,
Yeah.
do they tend to kind of go away from that form? Like in other game sevens, in years past, they've kind of got away from that formula. So now maybe we'll see.
Facing elimination as well. Like they kind of go away from that as well.
Yeah,
Um,
so I'm curious to see now in Game 7 what the strategy is. If they just kind of run out the same formula because Florida is going to be coming back with an even harder forecheck than
yeah.
before, right? This is
Yep.
this is laid on the line no pun intended, guys. Uh, for everybody, right? Quote from Max Pacioretty tonight, the second goal scorer. We can have just a quick conversation about him. His quote to the media: "We're at war." Then that's quite literally what it feels like. It feels
Yeah.
like both teams are going to be dug in now for Game 7. It's going to be the stalemate, and it could probably be first team to score is going to win the series. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
only if the Leafs score first. If the Panthers score first,
well, they did
come
it.
back.
The Leafs did it last year, and they immediately gave up.
Yeah,
the goal again to Boston.
It was like 30 seconds later or something like that. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was within a minute, that's for sure. And so another, just a quick one from Sportsnet Stats again. So Max Pacioretty heading into tonight had 7 goals in 15 career playoff games when facing elimination. I don't know if you had that stat, by the way, Justin.
I didn't.
Okay, now, obviously, 8 goals.
Yeah.
I thought Max Pacioretty tonight, how many hits did he have? I know we had it up before. I just thought
he could have had...
let me take a guess. He had 10 hits. I don't
know. He had 4. He had 4.
Dude,
he had 4 and 2 blocks. He had 4 and 2 blocks. 3 shots on net.
It felt like every single time Max Pacioretty was on ice, he was making plays. I want to give Max Pacioretty my plaudits because at the beginning of the season, Brad Treliving, he took a chance on him, signing him to a PTO. A lot of people thought that this guy was going to be cooked. And for large parts of the season, he didn't have the legs like he used to. I know, Justin, you know this as great as anybody, right?
I literally said before you came on about Max Pacioretty scoring the goal, I said, listen, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, but I have to appreciate what he's able to do at this age and how he was able to reuse himself, I guess is the correct way to
reinvigorate himself.
Just the way he was able to kind of change his whole style of play overnight, and he knew he wasn't going to be the same player that he was, and then came back and decided to actually buy into what Craig Berube wanted him to be, and it's paying off right now. And
100%.
Listen, I have to give credit to Craig Berube. Not only is he a terrific coach, but to come out and say hey, I'm sticking by my guys. I'm not breaking up Auston and Mitch. I trust them. I believe in them. That's huge. That's huge when the media is basically doubting you, saying, they should be broken up. They can't play together right now. Why are they sticking together? For you to stick by them, that's huge. And it proves why you're the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs and everyone else is sitting behind a screen.
It also proves why he's a former Cup winner, right? Yeah. That takes a lot of courage, especially in this market when everybody is telling you how to coach your team.
Yeah, exactly. How to coach the team.
Right? It's a lot easier. Listen, I could only imagine, because I am an armchair coach as well. I could only imagine the amount of pressure he must feel, and for him to always stay.
I honestly don't think he feels any pressure. You think he feels any pressure?
I think he acknowledges that there is pressure. I don't know if he feels it. So for him to kind of just stay stoic and stone-faced through everything, it takes quite a bit. You know what? That's a guy who was as tough as nails when he was playing, and he's as tough as nails behind the bench. So, yeah, I'll give him my credit. Now, Justin, I want to ask you, is your second question in relation to Matthew Knies by any chance?
No. I was honestly going to wrap it up with how you feel about Game 7. But before we wrap it up with how you feel about Game 7, we can go to Matthew Knies. I did mention before you came on, he only played 13:01 tonight, and that was because he was injured in the first period. And he was also pulled. He did stay in the game, played kind of periodically. Not full shifts either. He got a couple of full shifts in, but it wasn't every single shift was a full shift for him anymore. He also was pulled off the first power play unit, and a lot of speculation might be because, and then the speculation comes from he's pulled off the first power play unit and then plays a shift, with I think it was Nylander at that point. I'm not 100% sure who he actually played that shift with, but
Yeah, I
then
think
he
you're. I
goes,
think you're right.
yeah, so then he goes plays a shift, and everyone's like, why was he taking off the first power play unit if he's gonna go play a shift? Well, maybe because if he injured his back, you don't want to get cross checked because he is the net front presence, and taking a cross check to the back if that's already hurting a lot, like maybe you don't do that, and that's probably a smart thing. But yeah, Dave, what's your thoughts on Matthew Nyes and that whole thing tonight?
Um, I'm worried. So this comes from Chris Johnston. Craig Berube says he isn't sure if Matthew Nyes will be healthy enough to play Game 7. No
Mm-hmm.
specifics on his injury. I'm going to lean towards that he will be in the lineup, but his role is going to be a lot more different
Yeah.
than what we've seen. Probably something closer to what we saw in the second half of the game, because
It's
that injury happened within the first 10 minutes of the
Yeah,
first, right?
it's
Like
gonna be full. He's gonna be full 5-on-5. Like it's not gonna be any power play time. And if he's power play, he's definitely flanking. He's not. He's definitely
yeah,
not standing in front of the net, or he's gonna
for
be the
sure.
bumper spot where I still can't even see
Where
that though
Tavares is,
because if you're in the
he's still
bumper
gonna
spot, you're
get.
still gonna get cross checked in the back or something like that.
Um,
So
so my first thought with that is if he gets pulled off the first power play, who comes in to replace him? And everybody's first thought is going to be Morgan Riley.
no,
Now,
I'm gonna say Max,
okay, so
not Max Domi, Max Pacioretty.
Pacioretty. No, I agree. But I still think the first thought, the automatic thought will be Morgan Riley because of his chemistry with that first power play unit. Like up until I would say midway through this year, Morgan Riley was the power play quarterback playing in Mitch Marner's spot. So I
Yeah.
think it's very easy for Craig Berube and Mark Savard to kind of get together and say, okay, this is what we need to go back to, even though we have a substantial amount of evidence that it just won't work.
Yeah.
Okay? I think Max Pacioretty is a perfect of a replacement for Matthew Nyes as anybody else on the team. Maybe even somebody like Scotty Lawton could fill in that spot as well if they don't want to use Pacioretty. But I think Pacioretty, if he's healthy and ready to go, should be. That's a guy who's been on multiple first power play
Yeah.
units before.
Yeah.
He's no stranger to it.
And he knows he'd be the fifth guy. Like he knows his role in that. He knows his role on the team right now. So I
A hundred
guarantee you he
percent.
knows his role on the first power play.
So this is my petition to Craig. Now, Craig, listen, Mark.
We just said like
I don't want to
he
be the
can't
armchair
listen.
GM.
Yeah,
I
he
don't. Sorry, I don't
can't.
want to be the armchair coach here. But there is a right way to go around a Matthew Nyes injury, and there is also a wrong way. Please pick the right way.
Yeah,
I'm begging you. Yeah. It is going to be a huge loss though for them. I think you've seen him play. Everybody's seen him play through this series, through last year against the Bruins, and especially his rookie campaign against the Lightning, and before he was knocked out by the
yeah.
aforementioned Florida Panthers. We know what Matthew Nyes at his best can bring to the table.
He's not even at his best. Don't kid yourself. Like he's still got so much more to grow.
A
Like
hundred
he's
percent at his current best.
yeah. Okay.
Right. That I don't know if we're gonna see in Game 7, especially with the way he went down. So temper a little bit of expectations for him, but
Yeah.
that also means that there's an opportunity for somebody else to step up. Is it Max Pacioretty? Is it, I don't know, throw another name out here. I'm really looking forward to like
Yeah.
maybe Scott Lawton jumping up into a position like that as well. I think he can do a solid job anywhere, honestly, but especially on that power play. So I'm looking at two guys like that. Does anybody else want to step up? Max Domi, Bobby McMahon. Somebody else needs to make that jump.
Yep. So we'll end it with this. Game 7, they force it. I'm assuming every Leafs fan. I'm not a Leafs fan, so I don't know. Every Leafs fan's back in the belief in the belief stage, and they're going to be super pumped up for Game 7. Obviously, furthest the team's ever gone. Like,
This
I'll end it by
iteration, at least. Yeah.
yeah, I'll end it by saying this. Do you think Sunday is setting you up for pain, or is it setting you up for glory?
Um, as of right now, I have no reason to believe this team will not let me down because they haven't given me joy in the past. So I'm leaning towards pain, but I am begging to be proved wrong. Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like you really just want the Leafs to prove you wrong on Sunday and pull out the W in Game 7 and go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Listen, so if you we'll talk, or we'll everyone's gonna talk before Sunday. Right now, after Game 6, like what are you feeling like? What's the score? If score can change by Sunday night, whatever time the game's gonna be on Sunday. Score can change. But right now, if you had to say Game 7, Leafs or Panthers, who wins and what's the score?
Okay. I have my answer. You're going to think it's a bit of a cop out, though. I think it's going to be a 2-1 overtime game. Like, the game's going to end in OT. It's going to be a very, very tight game once again. I don't know who's going to pull it out in OT. The history will lean on the Panther side because they've been there before. Right? I'm going to lean towards the Panthers. Again, don't take this as me not believing. I just want to be proved wrong. I hope we clip up this clip and it does the rounds on social. And the Leafs, whoever it is, if it's Auston Matthews or if it's Pontus Holmberg, sorry Pontus, if you are like the last player on the list in terms of, I don't care who it is. It could be Joseph Wall scoring the OT winner for all I care. What a story that would be. It could be anybody. Just prove me wrong. Because history is not in the Leafs' favor right now. But you know what? When a team is pushed up against the wall, when an underdog is pushed up against the wall, guess what they do? They fight. I just want to see some fight. That's all I want.
Okay. All right. I thought you were going to go a different way.
What did you think I was going to say?
Listen, you said history's going to tell itself again, and I immediately went to one guy, and I could see this happening in a thousand worlds, and that would be a 2-1 overtime victory, like you're saying, and Brad Marchand sinks the Toronto Maple Leafs on home ice and just walks it off and ruins the whole franchise for the whole edition of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That would definitely put the therapists around the greater Toronto area like into the multi-millionaire, billionaire status, I think, if that happens. But you know what? Here's the thing. I don't think it's an unfair, like, I don't think that's an unfair thought that you had there, Justin, because I could definitely see that happening as well.
And he does his classic Selly, like, let me hear you at center ice. Like, he'll hit on two knees. Like,
I feel like he might pull Matthew Tkachuk and just walk off. Just not even give anybody the time of day. Just walk it off. Go right to a post game interview and get the champagne showers ready.
Because this is the first time that Boston is going to. No, they played one other Game 7 in Toronto. I'm pretty sure. I think that was back in 2019, maybe. I think I forget which year.
The two Boston series, they played both Game 7s in Boston.
Didn't they play one though? I thought they played one Game 7 in Toronto, like from not like 2 years ago or whatever, but like a while ago.
I think the only one that they've played in Toronto was the first year against Tampa. They would
Uh,
have if they the series that they won against Tampa, they would have went back because they won in Tampa in
yeah,
Game 6.
yeah, they
So
won Tampa in
both of
Game
those
6.
years they had home ice advantage. They lost one and they won one. So, but yeah, that game, the last time that the
It's-
Leafs have seen Game 7 on home ice was the 22 playoffs against the Lightning. So
no, no, no,
hopefully
because they
his
won in Game 6. They won in Game 6.
no, I know, but I'm saying like the last time that they saw a playoff Game 7
Oh
on home
yes,
ice
yeah,
was
yes,
against
yeah,
Tampa.
yeah.
Yeah,
When they lost.
and that one ended in OT as well. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is Brad Marchand's first time going to Toronto for Game 7. The whole thing today I saw on Kipper and Bourne was make him pack and make him come to Toronto, make him go through customs. They got that done. They get them back over the border. They make them take a trip. They make them have to come up to Toronto one last time and settle this thing out at the Scotiabank Arena on Sunday, on long weekend as well. Every Leafs fan in the Greater Toronto area trying to go away for cottage weekend, nah, it's not happening. This is the longest the Leafs have ever been in the playoffs in the last 20 years. Like
it's
they
been over
they have
20
not
years.
been
Yeah.
in the playoffs until May. No, it's going to be May 18th is when they're on the playoffs till at least until May 18th. That has not happened before. So this is totally new territory for Maple Leafs fans. And listen, right now, I'm gonna say Game 7. I'm gonna say it's gonna be another big game, and it's gonna have two players all over this, and it's gonna have William Nylander. It's gonna have Mitch Marner. Both are gonna have Willie's gonna have 2 goals. Mitch is gonna have 3 points. 1 goal, 2 assists, and it's going to be a 4-2 victory for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I can also see the Brad Marchand overtime thing happening.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
yeah,
there's plenty of different scenarios. It kind of feels like Doctor Strange here, like he's going through all the
yeah,
different scenarios in his
yeah,
head, and there's a lot of them that have the series ending with a Brad Marchand OT winner. So
yeah,
hopefully the one that actually happens is a lot like your train of thought, Justin, for everybody's mental health. But I
yes,
could only imagine if that goes to OT, all the neutrals will be well fed for at
yeah,
least over the coming summer. That's for sure.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, listen, as big as they come, this is legacy game
This is
9.0 here, guys. Like this is
this was
this is Fast and the Furious.
I called
legacy
this
game
I
here.
called this my first legacy game tonight. I said this was the first legacy game in my
Sure.
opinion of the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. They got the job
this was
done.
this is a legacy two-parter. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
had
you need to get the first leg to get the
we're
second
filming
leg.
them back to back here basically. This is like Dune. We filmed both of
Oh my
them.
gosh.
We're gonna
That's
put them out
hilarious.
over a couple of days, but this is Fast and the Furious legacy game part 9. Okay, like
Yeah.
if this is all I'm gonna say to the two guys with letters on their jerseys. If you do want to remain as Toronto Maple Leafs for the coming future, you have one last chance. In particular, number 16 is out of contract. There's a lot of talk around him. I don't know where. I don't want to talk about that right now until everything's over. But this is last chance road this Sunday. Would you not agree?
Yeah, so basically I'm at the point right now, it's Eastern Conference Final or Mitch Marner's gone. That's where we're at with this. I think if they make it to the Eastern Conference Final, Mitch Marner, there's a good chance he stays. If not, I don't think he stays. And listen, looking at the free agency class, if you don't have Mitch Marner, it doesn't look that great unless you're going to go offer sheet someone. But you might get offer sheeted yourself because you have a guy, a unicorn in Matthew Nyes that's probably going to get offer sheeted by someone. So, yeah, the Maple Leafs are all over the place. This is it. Like this is this is it. And I said it right off the top. If it was easy, everyone would be able to try and win. It's not easy to win this Stanley Cup. It's the hardest thing to win. And listen, the Toronto Maple Leafs are not just gonna just go out there and give up and not try. And if they get beat, they get beat. If they lose, if they win, they win. Like, it's at the end of the day, they control their own destiny. They got home ice advantage in the regular season for this exact reason. You got it. You lost game 5. You went down to Florida. You won a hard-fought game. Now go back home and take care of business. That's all I can say. That's how I can leave this. It was a good night after the Leafs. If you haven't checked us out, make sure to do so. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. It's Second Look Sports. Check out our YouTube anywhere. This is going to be on. Yeah. Anyway, have a great Friday night and have a wonderful 48 or 42 hours maybe or whatever.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Maybe
it's
actually, you know what?
Not enough time.
Probably 38 hours until you start like really stressing again. And then that's when everything's going to hit for game 7.
I'll tell you exactly when the stress is going to hit. At 12 a.m. on Sunday, May 18th is when the stress is going to start kicking in.
So 24 and a half hours is what you got. Yeah. So anyway, have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, the Leafs force Game 7 once again in a shutout effort against the Florida Panthers on the road in Florida. 2-0. Joseph Woll, 22 saves, was stellar tonight. Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner combined on the game-winning goal. It was incredible. We'll see you on Sunday. Have a good one.